For the record, both assistant state attorneys are present. Both defense counsel and Mr. Sievers. State's ready?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Defense is ready?
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
Bring them out.
Jury entered.
Please be seated. I'll ask our jurors again, did you follow my instructions not talk about the case among yourselves with anybody else or look up any of the people or places involved? Even if you did so inadvertently, now would be the time to raise your hand and let me know. For the record, no jurors lifted their hand. Next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state calls and recalls Kim Van Waus.
Objection, Your Honor. Will we approach?
Sure. Okay. You can just take your seat, and you're previously, I'll let you take your seat, Phenolphthalein. Ms. Van Waus was previously sworn, and you're still under oath, ma'am, from before.
Yes.
State.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Van Waus, if you would just spell your name for the record again for the court reporter.
VAN space WAUS.
And just briefly, your role in the Lee County Sheriff's Office is in which division?
I'm in the crime scene unit.
As part of your responsibilities for that within the crime scene unit, did you have occasion to process a Hyundai Elantra when it was returned to the Lee County Sheriff's Office or brought to the Lee County Sheriff's Office from Arizona?
Yes, I did.
And is that the Elantra that was returned by then Lieutenant, now Captain Long, and Christine Rose?
Yes.
I want to show you what is already in evidence as State's Exhibit 46A and 46B. Is this the vehicle that you processed in the Lee County Sheriff's Office crime scene forensic bay?
Yes, it is.
And I'll also show you 46B. Is that also a photo of that vehicle that you processed?
Yes, it is.
Now, before moving forward, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how you went about or how you go about processing this particular vehicle?
Like I start anything, I always document the vehicle. Exterior and interior photographs are taken to show the condition as I saw it originally. And then depending on the type of case that it is, I do different types of processing to the vehicle. So in this case, I processed the vehicle for 4 days, and I did different things each of those days.
Now, when you first arrived at the, is this a bay in the Lee County Sheriff's Office custody?
Yes, it's called our impound bay, and it's where we store all the vehicles and process all the vehicles. This was stored in our long-term bay.
And was the vehicle locked before you began to process it?
Yes, it was.
How did you start your processing? You had described to us earlier how you go about processing a residence or a building. How do you go about processing a car?
So with these photographs, I photograph all the way around the vehicle. So I'll start at the front, I'll do the front corner, I'll do the side, the back corner, the back, back corner, other side, front corner. I take it in steps. And then I take close-up photographs of the VIN and the tag.
Let me show you what's in evidence as State's Exhibit 47C. Was this the VIN number of that particular Elantra?
Yes, it was.
Now, when you were doing that, did you take any steps once you finished processing the outside of the car before you began to process the inside of the car to limit contamination?
I photographed the vehicle, of course, as is, but are you talking about wearing any protective gear?
Yes.
Yes, I always wear gloves when I process anything.
And did there come a time when you opened the vehicle for processing?
Yes.
And at that time, what did you do when you first opened it?
I started with my interior photographs of the vehicle. So again, I do a very methodical order. When I photograph the inside of a vehicle, I open the door, I take a picture of the door panel, the window, interior of the car, the floor, the seat back, the dash, and I do this methodically throughout the entire interior of the vehicle. And at this point, when I'm documenting the vehicle, I'm not inside the vehicle documenting it, I'm outside the vehicle documenting.
I want to show you two photos that had been marked for identification and previously shown to defense counsel as 47A and B. Can you look at 47A and B and tell us what they are?
A is a photograph I took of the dash, the entire front dash of this vehicle. And B is a photograph I took of the left rear door. It's open, and you can see a photograph of the entire door panel, and window, as well as the inside of the vehicle showing the seats.
And do those two photographs kind of fairly show what you were looking at the time you took those photographs?
Yes.
Move to introduce 47A and B.
No objection.
We'll show them admitted.
Permission to publish.
You may.
I believe you have there's a laser pointer up there if you need it. So let me show you first 47A, which you indicated was in the front of the car. And what are we looking at here?
So this is the photograph I take of, I'm standing outside the driver's door, the left front door, and I'm photographing the entire dash of the vehicle. So this is just an overall photograph inside the car where you can see the dash, the center console, the steering wheel, and even some of the floors and seats.
And 47B, what are we looking at here?
You can see I'm standing outside the left rear door, and I'm photographing showing the door panel, the window, and inside the vehicle. This is just an overall showing that the door stands open on its own, stuff like that. So I'm just documenting the condition of the vehicle.
And is that how the vehicle looked? Had you taken anything out of the vehicle at all when you began this photographic documentation?
No.
So this is exactly how it arrived at the forensic unit in Lee County?
Correct.
Now, after photographing and completing your photographic documentation, what was your next step in processing this vehicle?
I collected trace evidence from inside the vehicle.
And how do you collect trace evidence from inside a vehicle?
For this vehicle, I did it two different ways, but on the first day, I used tweezers. They were sterile tweezers, prepackaged, and I actually took these tweezers and I plucked hairs and fibers from the left front floor, the left front seat, the right front floor, and the right front seat, which would be the two front seats and floor.
And when you were done, did you package those to put into evidence?
Yes, I placed each of the hairs and fibers from the tweezers into a little envelope. I closed the envelope and I placed those inside brown paper bags, and they were sealed for submitting to the lab.
I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit number 84, previously shown to defense counsel. What is State's Exhibit number 84?
This is Lee County Sheriff's Office property number 15P 018456, and this is trace evidence from the left front floor.
And is that the trace evidence that you collected with the tweezers that you were just discussing with us?
Yes, it is.
Move to introduce State's Exhibit number 84.
No objection.
Show it admitted.
After you had used the tweezers to obtain any of the hairs or fibers, what was your next step
For that day,
for that day?
I fingerprinted the interior of the vehicle.
And did you do anything else that day?
I did 2 other things that day.
What did you do that day?
I tested areas inside the vehicle for a presumptive presence of blood using phenolphthalein.
And did you obtain any results when you did that presumptive test?
I had 1 positive indication in the trunk.
And what did you do when you had that 1 positive indication?
Anytime I have a positive indication for phenolphthalein, I always collect that swab as well as another general swab of the area that gave me a positive. So after I got that positive, I took 2 sterile swabs and I swabbed the actual location in the vehicle that gave me the positive, and I submitted that because that would have been the next step. I did DNA on the car.
What were the results of those pheno tests, or the results of that? Do you know?
They were inconclusive.
Now, you said that was for that day. Did you return to process the car after that day?
I did 3 additional days.
Did you lock and secure the car each time between the processing?
I believe so. I can't remember for sure, but it's in a locked and secured facility, and nobody can get to it. So,
And why were you working on looking for trace evidence in this particular vehicle?
well, and with any type of case, you do it for you do different types of processing for different cases. In this case, we didn't know what happened or who was involved, so trace evidence, of course, is important to us. And I also collected trace evidence from the residents, so I collected trace evidence from the vehicle to hopefully correlate evidence.
Did you, let's talk about day 2. What did you do the second day you returned to process the car?
On this day, I met with our fleet unit, which are the automobiles, and he assisted me in taking the engine compartment apart so that I could take samples for entomology and botany. Botany.
Does that complete day 2 of your processing?
Yes, it does.
What was day 3 of the processing?
For day 3, I did additional testing for phenolphthalein, so I was testing more areas, just trying to see if there was any type of blood residue in the vehicle. And I also used the alternate light source to see if I could find any fibers, and I did additional trace collection.
And in any of that additional trace collection, did you do any forensic vacuuming?
Yes, I did that as well as additional tweezers.
I want to show you what have been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 85, 86, 87, and 88. They've previously been shown to defense counsel. We hand these to you. Maybe we'll start with them in order of number. So we can start with 85 first. Or, so what are we looking, what is State's Exhibit 85?
85 is Lee County Sheriff's Office property number 15P019086, and this is vacuumings from the left front seat and floor.
And when you say vacuumings, how do you vacuum a car forensically?
So I used the forensic vacuum, like I said, not yesterday, but before. It's this little canister. It's a portable unit that helps with the suction. It has a hose on it. I use the canisters. I place the canister on the hose, and I usually break up cars into quadrants. So I vacuumed a quadrant at a time, and I just placed it over the carpet or the fabric of the seat, and I just sucked up as much trace evidence as I could.
And for State's Exhibit 85, what part of the car did you say it was?
This is the left front seat and floor, so the driver's section.
Move to introduce State's Exhibit 85.
No objection.
Show it admitted.
State's Exhibit 86. From where does that come?
This, can I say the property number?
Yes, please.
This is Lee County Sheriff's Office property number 15P019089, and these are vacuumings from the right rear seat and floor.
And did you collect those in the same fashion that you just described for us with State's Exhibit 85 and with the same type of vacuum you described the other day?
Yes.
Move to introduce State's Exhibit 86.
No objection.
Show it admitted.
87. If you could tell us what 87 is.
This is Lee County Sheriff's Office property number 15P019087, and these are vacuumings from the right front seat and floor.
And again, collected in the fashion that you've just described for the other exhibits?
Yes.
Move to introduce State's Exhibit number 87.
No objection.
Show it admitted.
And finally, State's Exhibit 88.
This is Lee County Sheriff's Office property number 15P019090, and this is vacuumings from the left rear seat and floor.
And again, collected in the same fashion as the other exhibits?
Yes.
Move to introduce State's Exhibit 88.
No objection.
Show it admitted.
Now, when you were processing the car, when you were in the interior, you talked about how you had gloves on when you were doing the outside of the car. Did you put on anything additional when you were in the inside, or did you not go in the inside of the car?
And I did not go into the vehicle, so I stayed on the outside of the vehicle so that I wasn't transferring any evidence into the vehicle. So I kept outside the entire time I was processing, at least until after I was done with trace evidence.
Did you have occasion to go to the Jarvis Street address in maybe July 24th or so to do some evidence collection from some pets?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about that?
I was requested to respond to Jarvis Road to collect DNA and hair from the family pets of the Sievers family. This included 2 canines and a feline, so a cat.
How do you collect hair from canine and cats?
I placed a sterile cloth down on the ground for each of the pets. Each pet was placed onto the sterile cloth. The pet was photographed. And then I took a brand new comb and I actually combed the hair of the pet and got a good amount of hairs off, and I placed that comb with the hairs attached into a sterile envelope, closed the envelope, and placed it inside a paper bag. And I did that for each of the 3 pets.
And then was that put into evidence bags, sealed, and transferred to the evidence room?
Yes, it was.
What was the hope that there might be some cat or dog hairs in the rental car?
Yes.
If you give me just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Tender the witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Ms. Van Waus, did you find any cat or dog hair matching the pets in the rental car?
I didn't do the testing, so you'd have to ask the analyst.
Okay. You said that the DNA evidence from the vehicle, you said it was blood, is that correct?
It was a presumptive test for blood.
Okay. And when you say it's a presumptive test for blood, can you explain that a little more?
It's not a test in the lab done. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a 3-step chemical process that tells me that it's presumptive for blood. So there are false negatives to this. So what we do when we get something that has a pink, it's what color it changes, we get a positive with this presumptive test, we send it to the lab, and then they tell us if it's definitely blood and then hopefully whose it is.
Okay. And you said ultimately when it came back from the lab, the test was inconclusive. Is that correct?
I believe that was the wording that the DNA report said.
Okay. And at that point, they had already done, or someone had already done, a buccal swab of Mark Sievers. Is that correct?
There was multiple buccal swabs in this case.
Buccal swab of Dr. Mark Petritis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Buccal swab of the children who live in the house. Is that correct?
I don't believe their buccal swabs were sent.
Okay. We had a DNA profile of Dr. Seavers, is that correct?
Yes.
We had a buccal swab of Curtis Wainwright, is that correct?
Yes.
And we had a buccal swab of Jimmy Ray Rogers, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And, I believe we also had a buccal swab of Taylor Showmaker, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we had a lot of bases for comparison, is that correct?
A lot of standards to compare to, yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say that the presumptive blood, well, you said it was presumptive blood. Did it turn out that it was actually blood?
I believe it did.
Okay. So the blood from the car did not match any of the known samples, is that correct?
That's not what I said.
Okay, what did you say?
The profile wasn't good enough to compare, so there was not enough markers there to compare to people.
Okay. And DNA markers, they call those loci, is that correct?
Yes.
And we didn't have enough loci to confirm whether or not that blood came from any of those individuals. Is that correct?
I think I would need to read that section of the DNA report if you want exactly what they said about the DNA.
And trace evidence, basically, can you tell me what trace evidence is?
Trace evidence is anything microscopic. It's hair, fibers, anything very small. It's trace. It's hard to see.
And what you're looking for is you're looking for a transfer, correct? From one location to another?
Yes.
So with the pets, you were looking to see if any of the pet hair was transferred into the vehicle. Is that correct?
I was looking for any type of transfer of evidence
Okay.
from multiple areas.
Okay, what other multiple areas?
I mean, you can find something from the rental car and the residence, something from the residence and the rental car. It's all commingled. So we were trying to find any type of transfer evidence, like you called it.
Okay. Did you find any evidence from the rental car into the residence?
Not that I'm aware. I do not think so.
Did you find any trace evidence from the residence into the rental car?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as she did not conduct the analysis on what was found in the car, and so this really is outside the scope of her knowledge.
Sustained.
When you used an alternative light source, what type of things are you looking for with that alternative light source?
In the vehicle, I was looking for any type of fibers that kind of stood out, because sometimes fibers will glow a different color, and so I don't necessarily need to collect the fibers that are already in the car from the carpet. I want to find something that doesn't belong, so I'm looking for that.
Okay. And did your alternative light source, did that reveal brightly colored fibers?
Did it?
Yes.
I mean, yes, I collected anything that would have been noticeable, but I didn't notice, I would say, like, it's not like I saw something that I grabbed something, tweezers. That's why I vacuumed afterwards.
Okay. And ma'am, would you say you did a thorough job of collecting evidence from the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. You said you did this for 4 days.
I processed for 4 different days, yes.
And you went so far as to take samples from the engine for entomology and botany, is that correct?
Yes,
And entomology, in not so many words, that's bugs.
correct.
And botany, that's plants.
Plant material, yes.
Thank you, nothing further.
State,
No redirect, Your Honor.
is this witness to be retained or released?
Released, Your Honor.
Retained, Your Honor.
You're subject to recall. We'll let you know if you're needed again. Thank you. State, do you want to retrieve the
Oh, I do.
exhibits? Next witness.
State calls Aimee Lusk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Good morning.
or afternoon, rather. Can you please state your full name for the record?
Aimee Lusk.
And for the court reporter, can you spell your first and last name, please?
It's Aimee, A-I-M-E-E, Lusk, L-U-S as in Sam, K.
And Ms. Lusk, where are you currently employed?
With Lefta Systems,
And where were you employed back in 2016?
with the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
And in what capacity were you employed there?
At that time, I was a detective with the homicide unit.
Okay, so you moved on to greener pastures.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
During the time period when you were a detective with Lee County Sheriff's Office, did you become involved in the investigation of the death of Teresa Sievers?
I did.
And during your investigation of the death of Dr. Seavers, did you have an opportunity to make contact with an individual later identified to you as Jimmy Rogers?
I did.
Where did you make that contact with him?
At the Collier County Jail.
And was he a resident at the Collier County Jail when you made contact with him?
He was in custody, yes.
And what was the purpose of making contact with Mr. Rogers at the jail?
To take part in service of a body search warrant.
And can you explain to the members what a body search warrant is?
Well, a search warrant is an application to a judge that gives us the authority to take evidence into our custody, and the purpose of that warrant was to take a buccal standard and hair samples from Jimmy Ray Rogers.
So this search warrant authorized you to specifically remove evidence off of Mr. Rogers' body?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 58A, 58B Bravo, 58C Charlie, 58D David. And ask if you recognize 58A through D.
.58A is a hair head sample from Jimmy Ray Rogers. 58B is a beard sample from Jimmy Ray Rogers. 58C is a pubic hair sample from Jimmy Ray Rogers. And 58D is a buccal swab from Jimmy Ray Rogers.
So let's talk first about 58A. How do you recover a head hair standard, or how did you recover the head hair standard from Mr. Rogers?
The hair standard was actually pulled by a crime scene technician with the Collier County Sheriff's Office. I believe she did it with tweezers.
And were you present when that head hair was pulled?
Yes.
How did she do it?
She explained to him that she was going to pull head hair samples from several areas on his head, and then she took a tweezer and pulled the samples while wearing gloves and placed them into a glassine bag.
So she literally plucked hair off his head?
Yes.
And did you observe her place the hair into the bag?
Yes.
Did she seal it?
Yes.
And did she then provide it to you?
Yes.
Why was somebody from Collier County Sheriff's Office collecting a head hair sample in this case, a Lee County case?
Because Mr. Rogers was housed in the the Collier County Jail, and the warrant was taking place in Collier County. Although it's part of the 20th Judicial Circuit, we felt that it would just be most appropriate to have them assist in collecting the sample since it was in the Collier County jurisdiction.
And at the time, you were a Lee County, Florida, you were a Lee County deputy.
Yes, I was.
And let's talk about the beard hair sample. How was that collected?
By the same method.
And so she took the tweezers and plucked.
Yep, from, yes, different areas of his facial hair.
Was it the same tweezers or different tweezers?
I don't recall.
Is there some kind of kit that comes for
She
plucking
had a
hair?
kit.
Okay. And after she sealed up the kit with the head hair, did she use a different kit for the beard hair?
I don't recall specifically.
Then the pubic hair sample. How did that get recovered?
She actually handed the tweezers to Mr. Rogers and allowed him to pluck his own hair because he had shaved recently, and she did not want to hurt him any more than necessary, so she gave him the opportunity to pull those.
And were you present when the pubic hair was plucked by Mr. Rogers as well?
I was.
And did you retrieve that sample and seal it as well?
Yes.
And then the buccal swab, how was that recovered?
That was recovered by her as well, and that was taken on cotton swabs and rubbed on the interior of the cheeks to retrieve epithelial or skin cells for the purpose of obtaining a DNA profile.
And after she rubbed that against Mr. Rogers' cheek, did she provide you with those swabs?
Yes.
Did she seal those in your presence?
Yes.
And then after they were sealed and provided to you, what did you do with them?
I took them to the Lee County Sheriff's Office Evidence Center and turned them over to CST Van Waus.
And that's as to 58A through D?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would admit 58A through D, and the evidence states 58A through D.
No objection.
Show them admitted.
Sir?
We tender the witness.
Okay.
No questions, Your Honor.
This witness to be retained or released.
She's free to go.
Retained, Your Honor.
You're subject to recall. We'll let you know if you're needed again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next witness.
State calls Matt Sands.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Can you please state your full name for the record, sir?
My full name is Matthew Sands, S-A-N-D-S.
And where are you employed, sir?
I'm employed with the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
And in what capacity are you employed there?
Currently, I'm a commander over the Investigative Bureau.
And how were you employed back in June of 2015?
In 2015, I was a lieutenant in the Major Crime Bureau Homicide Unit.
And as a lieutenant in the MCU, what were your duties?
Duties at the time were managing cases, overseeing cases, providing resources to the detectives working the homicide cases.
During your time as lieutenant in MCU back in 2015, did you become involved in an investigation involving the death of Dr. Teresa Sievers?
Yes.
As a lieutenant, were a lot of the lieutenants involved in that investigation?
Pretty much our entire investigative bureau was involved some form or fashion.
We understand that one of the tasks that was done was gathering security video. Did you have an opportunity to conduct an investigation specifically into security video at the Walmart on 6 Mile Cypress?
Yes, sir.
What was the purpose? Well, first of all, where's the sheriff's office headquarters in relation to the Walmart on 6 Mile Cypress here in Fort Myers?
They're very close. They're kind of adjacent to each other, across the street, catty corner.
So the Walmart is kind of a neighbor to the sheriff's office?
I would say that, sir. Yes, sir.
And did you get to respond to the Walmart to look for surveillance video?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was the purpose of looking for surveillance video at that Walmart?
I was made aware that there was video the day prior to the murder that we need to go pull from inside the store. We had exterior video. I need to pull interior video.
And when you say prior to the murder, do you mean the day prior to the day Dr. Seavers was found, or the day prior to her being killed?
The day before she was found.
And so you responded to the Walmart for the purpose of recovering that video?
Yes, sir. I pulled the video.
And when you went to the Walmart, did you have an opportunity to speak with somebody at the Walmart about what you were specifically looking for?
Yes, sir, I did.
Who did you speak to? Do you recall?
Yes, he was loss prevention or asset management, Jason Duvall.
And how was it now? I'm not sure about that Walmart. I think they're open, if not most of the day, all of the day, in that particular Walmart. How was it that you were able to work with Mr. Duvall to locate the specific video that you were looking for?
I went there without giving him too much details about the case, but went there and discussed, told him I needed a specific date of video, and he was able to pull that date for us.
He had access to the whatever system that Walmart uses to record video?
Correct. He was control of the camera systems. They have numerous cameras at Walmart, and he had access to that.
And were there specific, was there a specific person or persons on the video that you were looking for within that Walmart?
Yes, there were 2 individuals that arrived in a white car.
And how did you know that they arrived in a white car?
I was provided that information. I did not originally learn that. I did not find them on the video. I was directed to them. That's when we learned, well, we knew we had exterior video, so we had to go pull the interior video. We did not pull the interior video the first time.
And when you pulled the interior video, did you locate the subjects that you were looking for?
Yes, sir.
And did you then obtain the video from Walmart with the subjects on it that you were looking for?
Yes, sir.
And what were the 2 subjects, or who were the 2 subjects that you were looking for?
Jimmy Rogers and Curtis Wainwright.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibits 69A and 69B. And do you recognize 69A and B?
Yes, sir.
First of all, what's 69A?
69A is the thumb drive, which has the compressed video. And then 69B is a CD or a DVD that contains the Walmart video, and it has my initials and ID number on there.
And the 69B, is that in a different format than what 69A is in?
Format, one is a thumb drive, one is a DVD.
And did you have an opportunity to watch both videos?
I have.
And they both depict the same thing?
Correct.
Around this time, the state would admit 69A, and those videos, the videos you recovered from Walmart.
Correct, sir.
The state would admit 69A and B.
No objection.
Show them admitted.
And is that Walmart within the territorial boundary of Lee County?
Yes, sir.
Now, as you had an opportunity, when you watched the video, did you watch the video with the gentleman in the Walmart to see where Mr. Rogers and Mr. Wright were going inside the Walmart?
Correct. I didn't watch the video that I recovered. I watched the live cameras portion of that, yes, sir.
Okay. And were you able to, like, figure out where it was they were going in the Walmart?
Correct. You could see the individuals enter the store, and we would follow them from camera to camera, meaning Jason and I, the loss prevention, and try to track them from camera to camera. The cameras were already recorded because the date had already happened, so we literally had to go through, or Jason had to go through the camera system and move to the aisle camera and try to track them the best that we could throughout the store. We couldn't zoom in, is what I'm saying. We couldn't zoom in, or rephrase that. We couldn't change the camera. It was already recorded at that time.
So when you said you reviewed the live cameras, you reviewed the full recording of that day?
I reviewed the recording that was on the system itself.
Okay. And then the recording that Mr. Duvall gave you was just the recording with the 2 subjects on it?
Correct.
And were you able to see what these 2 gentlemen, or get an idea of what part of the store these 2 gentlemen were shopping in?
Yes, sir.
Can you recall which areas of the store they went to?
I can see them walking down the aisle of the clothing area and inside the clothing area selecting items off the rack. I can also see going down to the automotive area of Walmart. Walmart's pretty standard. The layout is pretty standard from Walmart to Walmart, or at least here in Lee County. So you know the general portions of the store where they were at times.
And specifically, did you see them see what they picked up off the shelf in the store?
I did see some items that they were able to select, which was a T-shirt, and I knew that they picked some shoes, and I was able to obtain a receipt as well of the items that were purchased at that time.
What kind of T-shirt did they get?
There were 2 items of clothing that would be T-shirts. One at the time I went, which was months later, was already sold out. The other T-shirt was a red Budweiser T-shirt that was selected off the rack.
And what kind of shoes did they get?
There were a pair of water shoes that was also sold out at the time I went back. But there was a pair of black, what I would describe as work type shoes, work low cut, black, patent leather possibly. I'm not sure what the material is. Rubber soled shoes.
Any wet wipes or trash bags?
Yes, sir. They also selected trash bags, wet wipes, a black backpack. They selected a toolkit screwdriver set. What else? There was approximately 8 items or so, 7 or 8 items.
And then were you able to then watch them on the video proceed to the checkout?
Correct. We could see them go to the checkout and then see them leave the checkout area in the front of the store.
Your Honor, this time we would ask to publish 69B.
You may proceed. Yes, ma'am.
Those 2 gentlemen in the white shirt and light blue shirt, are those the 2 subjects you're looking for?
Yes, sir.
Right here we see the one in the white shirt holding what looks like something red. Is that where you found that Budweiser shirt?
Yes, sir. It's in that general area. Yes, sir.
For the record, that was time index 11:07 a.m. time index 11:11 a.m., with just 5 minutes and 12 seconds on the player. Your Honor, we tender the witness.
Defense,
And no questions, Your Honor.
just witness to be retained or released.
Please free to go, Your Honor.
Release from the defense, Your Honor.
You're free to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next witness.
State calls Jason Duvall.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Jason Brant Duvall.
And can you spell your,
B-R-A-N-T. D-U-V as in Victor, A-L-L.
and Mr. Duvall, where are you currently employed, sir?
Walmart.
And what's your current assignment at Walmart?
Currently, I am basically a front-end manager.
Front-end manager? And what was your assignment back in June and August of 2015?
Asset protection manager.
Well, I'll say June, July, and August of 2015. What's
Asset
an
protection.
asset protection manager?
Basically, we're responsible for safety, security, and shrink compliance. And
Could you speak up just a little bit?
I'm sorry.
Do me a favor.
Safety, security.
Grab that
cool.
microphone and pull it as close to you as you can.
Okay. Sorry about that.
And it's okay to lean forward so we can all hear you. Okay, so I was asking you, what does an asset protection manager do?
Basically, we're responsible for the safety, security, compliance of the assets of the store, the customers, and the associates.
Okay. And so, do your duties involve employing any security measures within the store?
Yes, sir.
What are some of the security measures that you have?
CCTV. The other things is we have EAS for the doors, and we have theft deterrent devices for high-end value merchandise.
Let's talk specifically about CCTV. What is CCTV?
Closed circuit TV. It's basically recordings.
Does the back in June, July, and August of 2015, which Walmart were you working in?
The Walmart store is on 987. It's the address.
You can recall?
Yeah, it's 14821 6 Mile Cypress, Fort Myers, Florida 33912.
And that's the one on 6 Mile Cypress?
Yes, sir.
Did that store have a closed circuit video recording system in it?
Yes, sir.
And as the asset protection manager, did you have access to that system?
Yes, sir.
And what was the purpose of you having access to that system?
To review events, situations, opportunities, or issues, or anything in particular.
And where is that system? Where within the store is that system located?
In the asset protection office.
And within the asset protection office, is there some kind of device or devices that record video from within the store?
Yes, they're saved on DVRs.
Okay. And what does DVR mean?
I honestly don't know. Sorry. I know that that's where we store, and we can look up previous events.
So if you store video there, is that some kind of recording device?
Yes, sir.
And is this recording device located in an area that's open to the public?
No, sir.
So if a person goes shopping at Walmart, they're not able to access that recording device?
Correct.
Are general employees in Walmart, do they have access to that device?
No, sir.
Who has access to it?
Only salary members of management, myself, and asset protection associates.
What's the purpose of controlling access to that recording device?
That's deemed very sensitive and important information.
And how is that system maintained?
It runs continuously.
And are there settings such as time and date settings that are entered into the system?
If you want to view previous time, yes, you can.
And how does the time and date setting get into the system?
A person has to enter it like myself or one of my associates.
And as part of regular maintenance of the system, do you check and make sure the time and date setting is correct?
Every week.
Certainly if the wrong date was in the system and you were searching for specific dates, you might have a hard time finding it, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that why it's important to maintain the date?
Yes, sir.
And does the system, the recording system, when does it run?
Continuously, never stops.
So it's not like you go in and press record and then record something that you want to record and then press stop. It runs all the time?
Correct, continuously.
Reliably?
Yes, sir.
Now I'm going to show you what's been previously entered as 69A and B. Do you recognize these?
Yes, sir.
What are they?
These are the video that one of the detectives requested for me to record.
And were they recorded on that same system that we've been talking about there at the 6 Mile Cypress Walmart?
Yes, sir.
And were you able to view the contents of 69A and B?
Yes, sir.
And were you able to confirm that those recordings on 69A and B came from your recording system there at the Walmart?
Yes, sir.
We turn to the witness.
Defense.
No question, Your Honor.
Is this witness to be retained or released?
He's free to go, Your Honor.
Release from defense, Your Honor.
Free to go, sir. Thank you. You too. Next witness.
Gladys Martinez.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Gladys Martinez.
And Ms. Martinez, can you spell your last name for the court reporter, please?
Martinez,
And where are you employed?
with the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
And in what capacity are you employed there?
I'm a latent examiner.
And how were you employed back in June of 2015?
In June 2015, I was a crime scene technician.
And what were your duties as a crime scene technician?
I was collecting evidence and documenting scenes.
Back on June 29th and 30th of 2015, did you become involved in an investigation regarding the death of Dr. Teresa Sievers at 27034 Jarvis Road in Bonita Springs?
Yes,
And specifically, did you have an opportunity to respond to the medical examiner's office?
yes, I did.
What was the purpose of responding to the medical examiner's office?
I was documenting the autopsy.
The autopsy of Dr. Seavers?
Yes.
And what do you do to, now you're not a medical examiner, right?
No, I'm not.
So what do you do as a crime scene technician to document an autopsy?
We take photographs and we take custody of the evidence that the doctor submits to us.
And so during the autopsy, does the medical examiner remove evidence or obtain evidence from the decedent?
Yes.
They don't secure that evidence at the medical examiner's office?
No.
They give it to you?
Yes.
And then you secure it?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what you did specifically with reference to Dr. Seavers. Were you provided an opportunity to conduct your own crime scene investigation into Dr. Seavers at the medical examiner's office?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
We examined the body with ALS light.
What's an ALS light?
It's a tool that a crime scene technician uses to enhance any fibers or hair, blood that you may not see with your visible eye.
What does ALS stand for?
It's a alternative light source.
And how does it work? Now, if you want to use your alternative light source to examine a decedent for the presence of any items of evidence, what would you do in order to use that light source?
First, you have to dim down the lights, and then you take the light and you go over the victim's body or clothing. It's like a wavelength, and the light enhances. It could be blood, hair. Basically, that's how you use the light.
And do you have to use any specialized lenses or glasses in order to be able to see whatever it is the alternative light source is trying to show you?
Yes.
And so you conducted the alternative light source examination of Dr. Seavers. Did that reveal any items of note?
Yes, it did.
What did it reveal?
There was some microscopic fibers.
And once you saw where were the microscopic fibers located?
It was on her clothing.
Was she still clothed when she was taken to the medical examiner's office?
Yes, she was.
And when you noted the microscopic fibers on Dr. Seavers' clothing, what did you do?
We take lifting. It's a clear lifting tape. Same tape that you can use to collect fingerprints. Basically, we place them on top of the clothing. We lift them up, and then there's a white card. It's a 5x8, and we place the sticky side on the white card.
So it sounds like you're using the sticky side of the tape to stick to whatever it is on the person that you want to remove. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, correct.
So you take the sticky side of the tape, stick it on an object, and then pull the sticky side off, and you recover whatever you recover on the sticky side. Is that what happens?
Hold on.
I'm sorry?
Is there rejection leading?
I'll ask another
Sustained.
question. Can you explain how the sticky side works?
The sticky side basically is like almost a regular tape. It's just a little bit more adhesive tape. And yes, you place it on the item, the body, or whatever you're trying to collect, and then you lift it up and you place it on the card.
And what's the purpose of using the sticky tape to recover microscopic fibers from a decedent?
Is to get trace evidence.
To get it analyzed?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 29, previously been shown to the defense, and ask if you recognize number 29.
Yes, I recognize it.
What is it?
It's the trace evidence of the fibers.
And where were those recovered?
From the clothing.
From the Dr. Seavers' clothing?
Yes.
And when you recovered the tape lifts, what did you do with them?
I placed them on the card, and then I placed it in a brown paper bag and sealed it with evidence tape and put my initials and date on it.
Okay. And are those the tape lifts that you recovered and sealed in the evidence bag?
Yes.
This time the state would admit was previously marked as State's Exhibit number 29 and the evidence is State's 29.
Objection.
Showed admitted.
During the autopsy of Dr. Seavers, did the medical examiner recover any biological samples from her?
Yes, he did.
Specifically, a stain card.
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury what a stain card is?
A stain card, the doctor takes a sample of the person's blood.
And what does he do with the sample of blood that he takes from the person?
He places on it's a white little card, and they place like basically a dot of blood.
And then did he do that with Dr. Seavers? Did he obtain some blood and put it on a card?
Yes.
And what did he do with the card after he placed the blood on it?
He placed it in a small manila envelope.
And after placing it in the envelope, what did he do with it?
I took custody of it.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 30. And ask if you recognize number 30.
Yes, I recognize it.
What is it?
It's the stain card with blood sample.
And you placed the stain card inside of Exhibit number 30?
Yes, I did.
And is Exhibit number 30 the stain card recovered from Dr. Seavers?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would admit what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 30 and evidence is State's 30.
No objection.
Showed admitted.
Were there any hair samples obtained from Dr. Seavers?
Yes, there was.
And how was the hair sample obtained?
The doctor, he plucks the hair out.
And after he plucks the hair, where does he put it?
Again, he put it in another small manila envelope.
And specifically with reference to Dr. Seavers, when he placed it into the small manila envelope, what did he do with it?
He gave me custody of the envelope, and I placed it in a brown paper bag.
All right, I'll show you what's been previously shown to the defense and identified as State's Exhibit number 32. And can you tell me what's in Exhibit number 32?
The pool hair sample.
And that's the pool hair sample from Dr. Teresa Sievers?
Yes, it is.
And you placed it in that packaging yourself?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, this time the state would admit what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 32 and evidence is State's 32.
No objection.
Showed admitted.
Now Ms. Martinez, you told us earlier that you had recovered some, what looked like some tape lifts of microscopic fibers from Dr. Seavers' dress. Did you actually get to recover the dress?
Yes, we did.
And can you explain how the dress was recovered from Dr. Seavers?
The medical examiner removed the dress and then we placed it in a brown paper bag. We photographed and put it in a brown paper bag.
And after you put it into a brown paper, after you put it into a brown paper bag, what did you do with it?
We sealed it, I sealed it, initialed it, and dated it.
All right, I'll show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit Number 31, previously been shown to the defense, and ask if you recognize number 31.
Yes,
What is it?
it's the dress.
The dress that was removed from Dr. Seavers.
Yes,
Your Honor, the state would admit what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit Number 31 and evidence as State's 31.
No objection.
Show it admitted.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant, the witness.
Defense.
Good afternoon, Ms. Martinez.
good afternoon.
I want to ask you a little bit about the microscopic fibers that you recovered. You said you recovered those from Dr. Seavers' clothing. Do you recall that?
Yes,
Specifically where on her clothing?
I could not tell you exactly where.
Okay, do you know if it was on the inside of her clothing or the outside of her clothing?
The outside of the clothing.
Okay, do you know if it was more towards her front or towards her back?
I could not tell you that.
Okay, and do you remember if it was more on her right side or more on her left side?
When we recovered the trace, it's all over.
Okay. Do you remember if the trace was more towards the top of her body, the top of the clothing, or down towards the bottom?
Like I just said, it was all over, from top to bottom.
When you were collecting this, did you make any notes?
Yes, we document what we collect.
Okay. And do you recall if there was a video or any type of other recording made contemporaneously with the collection?
No video.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
State.
Nothing further from the state.
Is this witness to be released or retained?
She's free to go now.
She may be released, Your Honor.
You're free to go. Thank you, ma'am. Before going to the next witness, I'll ask our jurors, do any of you need a restroom break? I see some nods, so I'll instruct you to not talk about the case among yourselves with anybody else or look up any of the people or places involved, and we'll be with you shortly. Please be seated. State, you have how many more lined up at this point?
For today, we have one more witness,
Who is that?
Lieutenant David Levitt.
Think he'll take some time, or should we reach out to some more people?
Well, Judge, with the holiday week, we've been navigating around witnesses that are out of town. I don't know that we can get anybody else here today. We've been doing our best. We have people who are not within reach at this time. I think Sergeant Lieutenant Levitt will take at least a half hour to do direct exam, maybe 45 minutes. We actually went faster this afternoon than we thought we would, but we've been really having a hard time because of the holiday week, some people are out of place.
Well, I get it, but it is a first-degree premeditated murder charge, and it is over 4 years old, and these people are under subpoena. Do what you can. We'll be on break for 5 minutes or so.